So recently, somewhat recently, a black individual in Minnesota, I believe his name is Dante Wright, he got pulled over for having expired registration tags on his car, and in the midst of, and while they were pulling him over, they start looking him up, and it turns out he has a kind of a somewhat of a rap sheet, I believe. And I think there was a warrant out for him, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. And as I understand it, he also had a weapon with him in the car, a gun, and because of his criminal history, he was not supposed to have a gun. And in the midst of the arrest, he starts resisting arrest, and the female officer who was participating in, who was trying to arrest him along with her colleagues, yells "taser, taser, taser" on the body cam footage, and then she accidentally pulls her gun and shoots him. Now, there's people out there, including conservative Ben Shapiro, who's saying, oh, she should go to jail because your gun is on one side, your taser's on the other, and a taser's a lot lighter than a gun. She should have known what she was doing, and I understand, and, you know, it's not, it would be, she would be charged with manslaughter, which is basically, you know, you weren't trying to kill the person, which is true. She certainly was not trying to kill him, but for people like Ben Shapiro and all the other liberals who are saying that, oh, she should be tried and sent to prison, none of us really know what it's like to be in law enforcement, except those who actually are. You know, I'll use myself as an example. Alright, so I haven't talked about this ever, but I was born with a congenital heart defect called Epstein's anomaly with pulmonary atresia. I was born with it as an infant. I was hospitalized not long after I was born, and I was then also hospitalized again with some follow-up surgeries when I was 2 years old. Now, when I was 2, I was put on a heart-lung bypass machine, and the individual, I believe it was a nurse, who was supposed to be watching my oxygen levels that the heart-lung bypass machine was putting out, was not watching close enough, and the oxygen levels got too low, and I ended up getting some brain damage. My mom, she nursed me from the time I was born till I started consuming solid food, and so at 2 years old, I was still nursing somewhat. I had to relearn how to do that. She believes that I actually had to relearn who she was as my mother. And during that time, my right arm was strapped down to the bed and had all sorts of IVs in it, and so when I was relearning how to do everything, I would use my left. And so I went from being right-handed to left-handed. And through my stubbornness, and also the fact that I have a father who lost his arm in a farm accident at the age of 9, I had a very good role model on how to do things one-handed, I ended up using my left hand for a lot of different things, and so now my left hand's coordination is a lot better than the coordination I have in my right hand. But there are times when, if I need to do something quickly to prevent something bad from happening to me, or prevent some bad situation from taking place, I will quickly react and use my non-dominant hand that doesn't have as good of coordination to quickly do whatever task, and I'm able to accomplish it. And what I'm getting at here is that the officers are under a huge amount of stress, particularly when the person starts resisting arrest, has a weapon with them, where the officer could get seriously harmed. That you're making split-second decisions, your and your colleague's life is on the line, and you occasionally use one hand and end up drawing a particular weapon when you meant to draw the other. I'm sure it has happened before. It will happen again. You can train and train and train and train. You cannot do full simulation, perfect simulation of reality. Because obviously in a simulation, if you fail, you don't die. Yet in real life, that's what happens when you fail in one of these situations. You or one of your colleagues dies or comes very close to dying. So for us to sit there and say, "Oh, she's a trained officer. She should have known which weapon to grab." Yeah. Let's watch how you do that. How you do it in that sort of situation. Alright? Yet, I question whether this officer, which I am sorry, I do not have her name committed to memory at this time, whether she will get a fair trial, because as I've said in one of my previous videos, to cudgel a jury, I believe that one of the central reasons for why Derek Chauvin was convicted was because of organizations like Black Lives Matter saying, if you don't give us what we want, we will riot again. So if you want to have as the podcaster Andrew Clavin has said, that's a pretty nice business. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it. So you better give us what you want, or you can say goodbye to your community. I have serious doubts about whether this person will get a fair trial because of the intimidation that organizations like Black Lives Matter, quote unquote, and Antifa have been using this previous year, and continuing in our current. There was a individual who went on CNN who was absolutely dumbfounded that the members of the jury for the Derek Chauvin trial were unopinionated as far as his guilt or innocence. That is what a jury is for. That is why we don't use the court of public opinion. Because my opinion over Chauvin being guilty or innocent is motivated by my political views. We try to find people who we try to mitigate that political influence in our juries. That is the very reason why juries exist. Are you that dumb? I think that I honestly think maybe that this officer should be let off the hook, because you don't know what it's like to be, unless you yourself are an officer, you do not know what it is like to face the possibility of getting shot at on a daily basis. Unless you're a police officer or a soldier, you don't know what that's like. And you're making split-second decisions, as I've said. And to simply cudgel people into giving you a certain verdict, we're turning into it's mob rule. Eventually it'll be basically 1984, where decisions are made by the powerful, and guilt or innocence doesn't matter. Thank you for watching. My previous video I did in the tractor cab, per viewer request, and I want to ask, did you like it? How did you like that video? Also, I've made previous videos where it was darker outside and I turned my overhead light on. Is that better lighting than the lighting that this video currently has? Let me know. I want to make videos for you guys, and I like doing this. Let me know. Comment. And hope you have a great day. Thank you. Please subscribe. Subscribe, come on! Come on, please.